In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to contact your representative, what to say, and I'm going to walk you through all the mechanics. Hi, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to help you understand context in the war in Ukraine. As I'm recording this video, we're just a few weeks away, I think, from a vote about Ukraine funding, border deal, that kind of thing. I'm seeing lots of signs that we're getting closer to a deal. I believe that they will have a deal. I can't see any scenario where they won't create a deal. But it's a matter of working through certain processes. They have to do some horse trading, and it's unfortunate that they're doing this right now, but this is the process. So as we're getting closer, it's getting to be time where you need to contact your representative. Now, I have an audience of about 50,000 right now, and just a little less than a third of you are American. So I'm speaking to an American audience, but the principles are probably the same regardless of where you are, whichever country you're in. You're probably 31% of my audience are Americans. And then you have England, Canada, Western Europe, and Australia as another third or so, and then it's various places from there. So that means that about 15,000 or more of you could be doing what I'm saying. And if you do, that's going to move the ball forward. It doesn't take a lot to actually make congressmen stand up and notice. And I'm going to show you how to go about doing that. Okay, so with that being said, here's what you do. You just type in Republicans for Ukraine. I know that's going to, well, Republicans? No, I'm not a Republican. Don't worry about that. What you do is you type that in and you get to this website, gopforukraine.com. And when you click on report card, you'll get something that looks like this. So you get to the report card, and it says this report card assigns each Republican in the House of Representatives a letter grade from A to F based on their votes on 5 key provisions relating to helping Ukraine win. So it only covers Republicans, not Democrats, but Republicans are the ones that need the most attention here, not the Democrats. So then after that, you Google Find Your Representative. And if you click on the first item that will come up, House.Government, you click Find Your Representative, and you put in your zip code. Whatever your zip code is will guide you to who your representative is, and then you move from there. Now, your representative, depending on your zip code, you might have 2 congressmen. And if you have one congressman or the other, you have to find out by your street address. You plug in your street address and your city and state, and then you'll get to whichever is your congressman. It'll identify the correct one. Once you find the congressman, you go to the congressman's page. And so here's one, and you'll see very clearly on their page a contact me form, or you'll see here a contact and an email me or other choices. Email is what you want. Then you'll fill out the form that they have, and they'll say ask for your address, they'll ask for your phone number, they'll want to know what you're wanting to talk about, whether it's defense or education or something other, and then they'll ask for your message. So what should your message be? Let's talk about the message. So here I've identified Republican, and Democrat as different variations of what your message should be. And I want to assure you that it's far more important that you have said something than that you have said it eloquently. So don't worry about that you said, I want you to support Ukraine. In fact, if you say very poorly, even with bad grammar, please support Ukraine, because it's really a numbers game to some degree. They want to know what their constituents are thinking, and it's not really how important you're not trying to convince them. You're just trying to tally more for pro-Ukraine than not. Okay, so here's Republican. So if you on the report card, you find that the Republican is somewhat neutral. And by neutral, I mean this. They're not an A and they're not an F on the report card. Maybe they're somewhat in the middle, and they're really not all that excited about this. You'd say something like, Dear so-and-so or Congressman so-and-so, I'm a resident of your district I live at, and then you enter your address. I've been watching in disgust as Congress can't seem to get its act together and pass legislation that A, closes the border, and B, funds our foreign policy. Now, why did I say it that way? Because if they're neutral on Ukraine, they probably also have kind of a close the border kind of mentality. And so if you're talking about both of these together, it'll have more of an impact. We're making America look ridiculous before our watching world. Get a deal done as soon as possible. Okay, now don't just copy and paste that. Say that kind of sentiment in your own words. You don't want to see exactly the same thing again and again if you're in the office of that congressman. Okay, now here's a Republican who's a Ukraine supporter. You can be a little bit less about the border and just more direct. So if you see that your congressperson has an A on that report card, you'd say something like, "Dear Congressman so-and-so, I'm a resident of your district. I live at blank. I have been watching and discussed as Congress can't seem to get its act together and pass legislation that fully funds Ukraine while Ukrainians fight for survival. We're making Americans look ridiculous before a watching world. Get a deal done as soon as possible." Okay, you see the same thing. I just didn't need to talk about the border because that's not really important if they already support Ukraine. Okay, how would you address a Republican who tends to be opposed to Ukraine? Now, this takes a little bit more nuance, but I would argue that if you're willing to do this, you support Ukraine above other things, including saying something like this: "Dear Congressman so-and-so, I'm a resident of your district. I live at blank. I have been watching and discussed as Congress can't seem to get its act together and pass legislation that closes the border. Spend whatever you need to spend on Ukraine and Israel to get a border deal. We are making America look ridiculous before our watching world. Close the border, fund Ukraine, get a deal done now." Now, in saying that, you are speaking their language, helping them move the ball forward. It might not be what you want to say, but if you can say that and move us closer to making a deal, well, I think it's worth it. Okay, what if you live in a Democrat's district? Now, it's probably not that important that you urge a Democrat to support Ukraine. So you would say something like this because you're speaking about what they need to do in order to get that Ukraine funding. So, "Dear Congressman so-and-so, I'm a resident of your district. I live at blank. I have been watching and discussed as Congress cannot seem to get its act together and get Ukraine funding passed. Make whatever deal you need to make with Republicans on the border to get Ukraine funding passed. We are making America look ridiculous before a watching world. Close the border, fund Ukraine, get a deal done now." Some variation of that. But remember, you have to speak to their interest of Ukraine and making the deal with those bad Republicans over there. And you can curse the Republicans all day long if that's what if you're a Democrat and you want to do that, and feel free to do that. That doesn't matter at all. You can do that. You know, they're holding us hostage about the border. Make some kind of deal so we can get this done. That's perfectly fine. That's not the point. The point is that they're hearing that you have to do these things in order to get it done. In all of these scenarios, they're hearing and they're tallying the numbers. So that's what you do. And then you pop that into that form and you get it done. You could also send it by snail mail. I don't know if that is any better to send an actual letter these days because most people use the electronic means. Now, I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. After I post this video, I'm going to go out in the community tab. I'm going to post the video, and then I'm going to post a little poll and ask, did you write your legislator? Watch this video. Did you write your legislator? If you have, please click yes. And I'm going to ask you to do that. So thank you for being part of that. Again, I have some 50,000 subscribers. And about 31%, so 15,000 and change, are American citizens. If I get a small fraction of that, just 10% of them, that's a lot of people that are going to be contacting their legislators. And if you can't do that because you live somewhere else, if you live in Western Europe or you live in Canada or England or whatever, you can still repost this on your social media. It can spread, and the same principles apply in other countries, but it also can spread to other Americans who can do this as well. I'm going to leave all the links for everything that I showed you here in the description of the video rather than posted below. Wherever you might post this on social media, you'll have all the links. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.